Hello, viewer, and welcome to Spotlight here on Hope TV, where you look and live. And on Spotlight, we are always doing our very best to bring to you persons whose voices shape the community in the direction of light. And men, big conversation, because a lot is happening on the men's terrain. And when men hear about identity, sometimes they just shake their head and they're not quite sure who they are. I mean, who is a man today? Maybe a few years ago, generations ago also, would know who a man is. But today, define a man in a contemporary society, it's difficult. But we are glad on this edition of Spotlight to have with us a man who is always championing the cause of the man, always speaking to men positively, affirming men in different places in our society, and that's none other than Robert Burale. Now, Robert Burale is known, of course, across many platforms, but he is also a pastor, just for us to remind us, a pastor at the House of Grace Church, and we are happy to have him as we engage this subject of, do men need to innovate themselves? Robert.
Wow. Thank you, Rev, for having me here.
Welcome.
It's an honor to be here.
Well,
when you call, I answer straight away.
And you know, also people love what you have to say.
I'm loved and hated in equal measure.
Well, we'll talk about that shortly. And viewer, we would want to invite you also to just engage us on our WhatsApp line. That's 0708 222 323. Engage us on 0708 222 323. That's our WhatsApp line. And let's hear what you have to say about this subject of men and innovation. I mean, men innovating themselves. Now, let me say, Pastor.
Right.
Pastor Burale.
Yes, sir.
Many people don't think that you're qualified to speak about men and relationships and marriage. So as you say, you are loved and hated. Let's talk about the hate part.
Right.
I mean, why do they think so?
Well, number one, it's very obvious. Divorced. Yeah, so what kind of man are you?
Okay.
Who gave you the rights to talk about relationships, yet you didn't keep yours, you understand? And I do understand where they're coming from, because most people speak based on their level of knowledge or what they're exposed to. Others would speak out of absolute ignorance and just a heart of hatred. And but I bring another angle. When I started getting that question, the Lord dropped something in me. He says, listen, when you accept where you have fallen, that is one of the pillars of being a man. You know, being a man, you must be authentic. And being authentic is not tied down to the positive things. Being authentic requires you to show your scar and also say, here, I failed. And the beauty of it, Reverend, is sometimes, and most times, as human beings, we are more inclined to listening to the negative comments. If there are 100 comments on your Facebook, for example, and 98 are good and 2 are bad, somehow we are drawn to the bad. Now, the bad ones may be the loudest, but not necessarily the most. I have seen, heard, met people who have told me that your nakedness clothed me, saved my relationship, healed me. So that is what I hold on to, that lives have been changed, people have been ministered to. There are people who will not like you just by looking at you. Why do you have silver beard? They just will not like you. You understand what I'm saying? But that is what ministry is all about, and living a life of impact and legacy. No man or woman who left a great legacy was liked by everybody. Because for you to leave a legacy, you must be a man or a woman who has convictions, who will say, this is where I am going. It means then the people who are opposite of where you're going will have a problem with you. So in fact, that is one of the feelers or the signs that you're doing the right thing. A man of conviction, and conviction could mean giving a message that the majority may not receive well, or the ones who don't receive well may be the loudest. So I embrace, it wasn't easy in the beginning. Rev, now I embrace the ones that love me and the ones that cannot stand me.
Okay.
And I say to people, there are 7 billion people. If I stand to speak to men, I am not the only one. It's like a restaurant. Some love latte, some love coffee. If you don't like latte, order for coffee. It doesn't stop latte from being latte. So I say to people respectfully, if I am not your ideal kind of man to speak to boys or men because of my divorce and this and that, there are others who have been married for 150 years. By all means, go and listen to them, because nobody, Rev, has monopoly of information. I speak based on the domain God has given me. For one who does not like to listen to me, there are 10 who will listen to me. So the question is, God, am I in my area of assignment? The message you have given me, am I dispensing it with clarity? And is there impartation? Is there an anointing?
Okay.
Audience of one. Yes.
All right. That sounds like quite a spiritual journey that that has been.
Yes, sir.
And still continuing.
Yes, sir.
Which is the reason why, even on this edition of this program, we want to address the issue of men.
Right.
And for you, you have innovated.
Yes, sir.
Across your story.
Yes.
There's definitely a lot of innovation.
Yes, sir.
Of the brand that you've become. And for you to sustain that spirit to the extent that now people would call you to their forum.
Yes, sir.
Knowing your story.
Yes.
And still find value.
Yes.
Now, that's exactly what we're talking about here, because we come from a background as a culture where, manhood was really well defined.
Yes.
Just by the fact that you're a man, right? There were several benefits just came upon you.
Right.
In terms of inheritance, the fact that you are a man doesn't matter where the birth order could be the last born, but the fact that you're a man, that's meant something.
Yes, absolutely.
In terms of course, that in terms of wealth, in terms of leadership, right? In terms of particular roles in the community. I mean, the man had, just by gender,
clearly
had particular definition.
Right.
But let's look at things today. Things have shifted quite a bit.
A
lot. Because, some dynamics now make the man, just feel thrust into a different culture where the past cannot be imported here.
Right.
And so the man is kind of in a place of crisis, knowing whether to define themselves by the past. They're looking at the future. They don't have really rails to hold on in the future.
Yes.
So they're right there, right? And I want to ask you, Burale, from your love for and your passion for empowering men, what exactly in the modern culture should a man embrace so that they can be able to bring out the value of their manhood?
Thank you very much, Rev. Number one, we have to understand times have changed. But pillars should never change. What am I saying? Where we are here, there is a foundation that holds this marvelous building together. But once in a while, guys would come and paint, do some interiors, but they don't dig the foundation, all right? It rains, a bit of rust here, wear and tear. What men should do now is understand the real definition of being a man based on the past, based on our fathers and our great-grandfathers, whereby when you look at the men of old, and I'm a creature of lessons and history. I prefer talking to men who are 20, 30 years older than me. And they say, you know, you guys nowadays, you are so lost. And I say, why do you say we are lost? It says when we were growing up, on a Friday evening, we would sit with the older men and sit down as they sit on their stools and the men on the ground, meaning they learned humility and understanding authority from a very young age by actions. And we would listen to them. It didn't matter if they don't speak as well as we do, but you cannot take away their wisdom that comes with age and experience. It says now what has happened is that, yes, we are seeing men by bodily, biological things, but we have feminized the man. And it was a carefully crafted plan that did not happen from 2 years ago. It's been a 15, 20, 30-year plan to feminize the man. And I'm not saying being a woman is wrong, but when a man behaves like a woman, then everything is wrong. So what has happened? We have made men to feel that they need to be more soft than masculine. Oh, times have changed. Young boys now are telling you, when somebody disagrees with them, Dad, this is a toxic environment. Toxic because a friend stopped talking to you. That now is toxic. Men of old, toxic is there were 4 and they met 5 lions. But they said, you know what, we are going to fight this. We have to protect the cattle. But now what has happened is we have tried to innovate, but our direction has been taken the wrong side. Whereby, I'm going to say some hard things here.
Okay, just go ahead. It's a hard subject, though.
Yeah.
So hard things are expected, yes.
Sadly, we are seeing more men doing manicure than ladies. Going for, even now to get men to come to your barber shop, you have to have a woman to massage their chest after shaving their hair. There's no connection. But that is what is attracting the men into places.
Let me just, because you've talked about the feminization of man.
Yes.
As an intentional process.
Yes. Very intentional.
And therefore, there are people or movements that actually sponsor this.
Absolutely.
Now, who are these?
They're faceless, hidden in NGOs.
Okay.
Some that do community work. But the messages they're giving to the young boys is to mess them. Subtle, subtle. But in 5 years of listening to the same message, it messes them. If you start sending some subtle messages to a 12-year-old, when they get to 16, they become.
Now, when you're still at that,
Yes.
and we're analyzing this,
Right.
if masculinity is strategized for and is dislodged, right? Then what should we say about the nature of that masculinity from the very beginning? Wasn't it maybe weak?
Yes.
Wasn't it maybe, just not solid?
Absolutely.
Because why is it being dislodged? Why isn't this masculinity fighting back?
Just like the Bible says, while we were asleep, the enemy came and planted tares.
Okay.
Now, what happens? They thrive out of ignorance. It's as simple as that. Or rebellion. Now, Rev, tell me, how many people, when we have long holidays, and this is just sad, many people think of going clubbing and long holiday weekends and barbecues and nyama choma out of town. Very few people go to the village to talk to their grandfathers and uncles. What has happened? The modernization and the westernization that has rooted out and diluted our culture. And there are some things about our culture, especially the African culture, that we need to hold on to.
Now, you can mention some of those things.
Yes.
I mean, especially from a masculine point of view,
Yes.
some of the things that you feel we should not give up.
For me, go to the village and listen to those old men. Yes, we speak better English, know a thing or two. He's 80, he knows a thing or two. And it's not just about saying, I've sent M-Pesa for them to have Christmas turkey and whatever, but there's something valuable. And the worst thing, and when you look at some of these men, they may not dress as good as we do, may not speak with eloquence, but you see some tears in their eyes because they're saying, sadly, we will die with information that this generation needs. Now, because we, our age, have rejected this, our sons will pick what we have, which is not what we should have had, but what we are learning from the social media and what some of these NGOs are doing. And that is why now, if you look at it this way, we celebrate a lot of, I have to be very careful what I'm saying, but anyway, I didn't come to win awards anyway. We celebrate some things that, to be honest, are not godly, are not African, are not even just African, men should not do. Now we celebrate men dressing like women. And we lift them to high levels of notoriety and say, these are people we look up to. Our young kids are seeing this, so that is the innovation we have gone towards. What we need to do is maintain the pillars, but understand, right, times have changed, but values should never change.
All right.
Yes.
Okay, the values,
Yes.
because the values that you're talking about are what remains the same.
Yes.
Cultures shift.
Absolutely.
But the
And times
foundation,
change.
and times change.
Yes.
But values remain the same.
Never change.
Now, maybe you have mentioned one value.
Right.
Humility.
Yes.
And that's respecting those who are ahead of us.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah. And that would serve, I mean, practically even at home,
Yes.
where your children should definitely listen to you,
Right.
as the father.
Right.
Now, if that lane is broken, or that communication is broken, then things do fall apart.
Absolutely.
So it's good to understand that humility is a big value. I want you to mention some of the values that transcend time, that a man should hold.
Knowledge and receiving the baton. We read the scriptures now because information was put out for us. 2,000 years later, we still have this information. For example, I say this, when I go to heaven, I need to know where David is and Paul and Abraham. I want to have a discussion with them. But why do I want to discuss with them? Because there's knowledge about some of the things they did. And some of their part of their spiritual journey. If we didn't have this information, I would not want to know who David is. So what am I talking about? If there's a 4x100 meter relay race, the guy who starts and I'm second, I watch his journey, I receive the baton. It is the same baton that I run and give to the third guy, and the same baton is given to Usain Bolt to win the race. It is the same. It is not that he comes, taps my hand, and I remove another baton.
Okay.
It's the same way of the value system. There are some things they did right. That why was it that a man, when he enters a place, he's respected? There are some things that happen now that they say a father should not sit on the same table with the daughter-in-law when they're having dinner in some African cultures. Well, I know modernization has diluted that line, but I go deeper. Why was it there in the first place?
Okay.
It was not because of just what we see. It was a place of honor. This is a man. He has been out in the field. He has fought lions. He has protected you. When he comes to the table, give him his space.
Okay.
It's not pride. Always look at why did they do it? So modernization will tell us, oh, we are being male chauvinists. But if you're a student of history, you'll ask yourself, why did the cultures come up with that?
Okay.
Yes.
All right. We talk about values.
Yes.
I want you to comment on the role of wisdom
Yes.
in contemporary masculinity.
Right. Wisdom and intelligence are two different things. Many people have camouflaged or taken wisdom down and lifted intelligence. Intelligence has messed many people. Intelligence has brought some things on social media that has messed us up. But wisdom is understanding who you really are, because wisdom is God-given. So what is my role as a man? That should never change at all. But now we have a man having a sex change, and they have a blockbuster TV series, and the whole world is celebrating and invited to speak in a boys' school to talk about identity. What are you talking about? Which identity are you talking about, and you're struggling with your own identity? Wisdom is understanding that while times have changed, you still hold on to something.
Okay.
Wisdom is understanding that, yes, we can't wear some things that the old guys used to wear, but wisdom means that we still have to cover our nakedness.
Okay. Wisdom.
Yes.
Now, what's promoted a lot today and has really gained roots,
Right.
and has also many male champions,
Yes.
is equality.
Yes.
Equality of gender.
Right.
Right? And that itself has communicated to or spoken to masculinity particular things.
Right.
Right? I mean, just comment about your understanding of equality in the contemporary world,
Yeah.
and how that, speaks to masculinity.
Number one, God is not a democratic God. There are clear, defined rules. In the now message, equality is what you can do, she can do. What she can do, you can do. That is the biggest lie from the pits of hell. The way the responsibilities of a man cannot be done by a woman. That is why I frown upon during Father's Day when you say on your Facebook, Happy Father's Day to the men out there. Women come and say, and even us who are fathers. It can't be like that. And that's what has messed people. That's why now we are having people fighting. People who are supposed to work together, bring your strength, I bring my God-given strength and authority, and we work together for upward mobility. But now this equality has brought competition. This equality has made women want to be the ones to speak blessings and male kind of blessings over their sons. And this is what is making some young men want to dress like women and apply lipstick.
Okay, we'll talk about that, because I would definitely want to hear about whether you believe that women and men are actually equal.
Right.
I would want to hear about that at some point.
Okay.
But we're staying with the values a little bit. Spirituality.
Yes.
Spirituality has been seen as if it softens, is one of the things that softens men. And as if when a man fears God, then a lot of maleness is removed from them, and they become something else.
Right.
Right? Your comment about that?
The strongest man is the one who knows how to be a bride to Christ. Your brokenness, and that's why David had a special place in God's heart. He knew how to break before God. And when his closest person, even like Job, questioned why he's being like that, Job says, you speak like a foolish woman. The strength of a man is hidden in his brokenness in Jehovah God. Now, that is why now men can't lift their hands and look up and cry, not because they're showing off, but they know they remember the goodness of God. They're having their moment, because the women will say, what kind of man are you? You understand what I'm saying? And that's why we don't have very many in church. Now, the strength, the highest level of masculinity is hidden in our brokenness and our relationship with God. The deeper you go, I want to see a man laying down here. Forget about what the world is telling us, that you have to have scars here and there for you to be called a man. The warrior is hidden in the worshiper.
Okay.
And that's a book that is coming out by myself.
All right. We look forward to to getting that.
Yes.
Because it must be interesting in terms of perspective.
Yes.
Now let's stay with your men and women.
Right.
And equality.
Right.
Where do you place women? Do you place women lower than men? Do you place men almost near women? Or, I mean, where do you place women? Because some people are happy to hear that the man is the man. Other women are like, no, I think that's really old school. We left that lane a long time ago. Where do you place women vis-a-vis men?
None is weaker than the other. None is lower than the other. But there is what we call the fairer sex, to be honest. That is why if the two of us are here and the lady comes and we need to lift these speakers, who will lift them? Would be embarrassed to let a lady lift them. What am I saying? None is lower but we got to understand the responsibilities of a man may appear more loud. It doesn't mean we are better. It means ours is just out there. It's like saying a preacher would stand here on a Sunday to preach the gospel. Does that make the intercessor weaker or lower? Not at all. The intercessor has played a major role in this ministry standing strong. But one is visible, the other one is hidden. Now, what am I saying? And this is where we need to understand so that this battle between men and women can go. And again, this thing did not happen by mistake. All these things are orchestrated. All these things, even when they bring some TV shows, it's to bring in a new agenda. They bring others to dilute what the Bill Cosby show did, to bring a nice black American family. They bring others to bring some funny agendas. What am I saying? Is we got to understand that as a man, if you operate in your very public calling, it doesn't make you better than a woman. It just makes you more visible than the woman.
Okay.
Now, the woman for me is the neck. The man is the head. I see, I'm the visionary. I hear God. Not that women should not hear, but I'm saying in the context of a family. Follow me as I follow God.
Okay, so let's stay with that.
Yes.
Let's stay with that because that's pretty debatable.
It is,
because somebody said that, yes, I would want to follow my man, but he's not followable.
And that's true.
Okay?
And that's very
He's
true.
not followable.
And that's why we're having the men's conferences, to tell the men.
All right.
Okay, go on.
Yeah, let's stay with that.
Yes.
And in that same context, we find that women really want to lead, right? They want to lead. And they are leading.
Yes.
They're leading homes, they're leading
Absolutely.
relationships, right?
The corporate sector.
But also, in the context of relationships, in their success in leadership, then they also blame men for being absent.
Right.
So the man is caught in a place where the woman is successful and happy to lead, but then there's also a blame that we are doing this because the men aren't doing it. So you're caught in a place where you don't know whether, what exactly is going on.
To be honest, Rev, there's some truth in that. When you look at the order of God, we had the garden, we had the man to till the garden, and the woman to help the man to till the garden. Now, it would be sad that a man wants to be followed, but he has not found out his garden. And then women have been created to dislike or hate vacuums. So some have come in. My husband is in a bar drinking Monday to Monday. Kids must go to school. Homework must be done. So there are men, to be honest, let's not be politically correct. There are some men who have just absconded and have left the seat of authority. Now, women don't know how to see an empty seat. They will come and sit on it. But after some time, frustration comes. Because a man is supposed to sit on that seat, give direction. That is why you would find a very powerful woman, extremely powerful woman, in every sense of the word, financially strong, submitting to a man who does not even earn half of what she does, but because the man is going somewhere, the woman, when she gets home, she submits. In the office, she's a lioness, backing orders and signing letters, checks left, right, and center. So my take is to urge men is you don't have to be a billionaire to have somebody submit. You must understand your purpose, find out your garden, and start moving towards your garden, because your blessings and your lifting is in your garden. And the woman that is supposed to help you and work together is brought in to that garden.
You know, it's something that many men would want to know.
Right.
How do I do that? No, don't answer.
Okay.
We're taking a short break.
All right.
But how do you do that? How exactly, in the modern world, where, as you say, women have way more opportunities, and men seem to be lagging, not having as many opportunities, as guaranteed opportunities as before.
Right.
How does a man who is operating in this, let's call it economic imbalance,
Yes.
you know, how do they still receive honor? Is it in the place of the woman to give this man honor, or is it in the place of the man to rise to a place where they can earn honor? We'll take a short break.
I love that.
We're taking a short break. Viewer, we are talking about men, the modern times, and should they innovate? And we are happy to have with us Robert Burale, pastor, engaging us in this subject. And I'm sure you have lots of views about this, so keep engaging us on our social media pages. Also engage us on 0708 222 323. That's our WhatsApp line. We're taking a short break. We'll be right back. The discussion is still ongoing.
This Saturday, get ready for the showdown. Tune in and find out who proceeded from the group stages. Witness the participants you have come to know and love take on the toughest challenge so far as they continue to battle to be the diamond. But who will stand out in this ultimate test of skill? Find out this Saturday at 7:30 p.m. only on Hope TV. The Rough. Identifying talent, inspiring passion. The Kenyatta University Christian Union Alumni Fellowship, in partnership with Hope Media, invites you to an Alumni Sunday service on 12th of February 2023 at the Kenyatta University Amphitheatre from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. The theme of the service is Rebuilding the World, drawn from Nehemiah chapter 2 verse 17, and the minister of the word will be the Bishop of the Christ is the Answer Ministries, Reverend Callisto Odede. This event will be broadcast live on Hope TV from 11 a.m. All are welcome.
7, 8, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
150K. Wow.
Una dance competition.
Alibook ticket ya kwenda Nairobi juzi, most likely yuko kwa in-laws wake pale Mathare.
I should never wait for you.
Yeah.
Welcome to our first official. Nataka watu wa dance mpaka miguu ziume. Nataka wa dance mpaka viuno zivunjike.
Na si mume dance poa. Anze kwanza nyinyi mnafaa kwenda competition France.
natafuta watoto wawili. Wanaweza kuwa wamepita pamoja, amevaa top ya red.
Na mtu sijui anawapeleka majuu, amewachukua.
Ati?
We will lead a team to go in.
Something is off.
Viewer, welcome back. This is Spotlight, and we are talking to Robert Burale. And the question is, should men innovate themselves? And lots of quite some cliff-hanging views here. And thank you also for your engagement. And Nabikito is saying that, Naramat, you're saying westernization is a lifestyle that is ungodly, while modernization is upgrading our own cultures without diluting anything. The church should begin this important conversation. Well, we'll try and engage part of that. Thank you for your view there. Then Njoki Kanyugo is saying, great conversation. Then we have also, one of the viewers saying here, oh, we're having some real talk here. It's a good time to be alive.
It is, isn't it?
And then there is Givanix, we're saying is watching from Utawala. Thank you for that. And saying loving and thoroughly enjoying the discussion.
Thank you.
That's Michael Gethiri, all the way from Kigali.
Oh.
Yeah, from Kigali.
Murakoze.
And there are some men who have just absconded and left their responsibility. That's Davis Atundo, which brings us to a point here that we were just talking about.
Right.
Should women naturally then take their place, so let me call it the place, and give men the respect or the honor? Or should the men actually earn this honor, this respect?
As men, we need to rise up to a place where honor is given to us. Mm-hmm. But having said that, Rev, there are others who have risen to that place, but they don't receive the honor because also of another agenda to try and bring down the man by some so-called NGOs. And I'll stick there, whereby there's an agenda to try and define who a man really is. The agenda of, if a man is not a multimillionaire, then he's not a man.
Okay, because that's an important dynamic, whereby money has become the new definition of masculinity and manhood. In its absence, then, you are not worth of regard.
Right. And we have had cases of men committing suicide and others going into depression because the standards, the financial standards that has been put, they haven't met. That if you make $1 million, why are you not a multi-millionaire? And the one thing about finances is the bar always keeps on moving. When you have 10 million, you'll be told you have friends who have 100 million. There are many men out there who have 200 million. And that's why now we are getting into tenderpreneurs and wash and all this kind of nonsense. So it is, there are some men who have just refused to rise to the occasion. And I mean that by operating in their place of purpose, you understand? But there are others who have reached there, but there's also a diluting of who man is and a re-engineering of the thought process of the woman to see which man is a successful man. And that's why we have old men dating university and college kids, because they look at them as real men because they have money. And that's why drug dealers have women all over. Why? He's a man. He has a big car. He lives in a big house. And if you ask some women who understand the truth of what man is, a woman will tell you, I just want a man who knows his purpose. And from there, we will grow together.
Okay.
We have men who met women, they had nothing. And women of the right mindset. That's what the Bible says, he that finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor.
Well,
your business gets favor.
That's one view, but there are others who say, I mean, there's nothing like we grow together. I mean, I come to a person who is grown. Well, what have you been doing, you know, that we will come and grow together? Where have you been, you know? So are there some expectations that you can say that women have of men today that are, according to you, unfair?
Yes, sir. And I'm not saying all women, because, I mean, but there's this expectation that if you're 35, you don't own a home in the upmarket and have a mansion in the village, you're not a man. But yes, maybe by 35, you should have achieved some things. But show me a man who at 40 said, I wasted 20 years. I've accepted my mistake. By God's grace, I want to make amends. That is a man.
You know, and somebody said that I should also be congratulated as a man at 35 for keeping my peace of mind.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
In the midst of a lot of, you know, distortions and haste,
and there's a lot of
I kept
my mind.
My mind.
Absolutely. So for me, is that the pressure is that we're on a rat race. And we're running, looking, who I'm 40, where are the other 40-year-olds? I'm 50, where are the other? Don't do that. Go with your pace. That's why even in a race, when you step out of your lane, you are disqualified. And the chances of stepping out are high when you start looking at the people on the other lanes. So, yes, it's true, maybe at 35, by order of life, a man should have attained some certain level of success. But even if he hasn't, but a man at 35 and 6 months discovered he made some mistakes.
Okay.
And he wants, you can never recover time, but the man wants to redeem time. That is a man.
All right. I want you to speak to the women here.
Yes.
What are some of the things or some attitudes that women, because masculinity is also nurtured, right?
Yes.
It doesn't just exist by itself.
Absolutely.
It grows.
Right.
It expands, it shrinks depending on environment.
Yes.
So what are some of the things that women can do that would nurture masculinity?
Peace. Peace. I once put in my Facebook, Jesus Christ, that men don't necessarily come home to love, but they come home to peace. I was given one answer. I'm still recovering until today. I think the VAR is still on. The woman says, let them join the UN peacekeeping force. Peace. Peace is a palace to a man peace. Samson was given peace, and he broke a covenant he had with God. Look at what peace can do to a man. The level, the extent in which a man can go when he's given. That was a negative.
We call that deception.
Yes, but he was given peace. The end game was wrong, but he was given the lap to put his head. He was being massaged. He wasn't called Samson. He was called Samson. How was your day, my king?
Maybe Sam.
Or Sam, yes. Or Saul.
Now,
so peace and sometimes speaking to the greatness of the man. And that not necessarily in the public domain. Yes, we have ego that we want our women to praise us publicly. But the most powerful thing, and I want women to understand this today, is what you tell him when you're the two of you. You know, sometimes in public, you're like, okay, I know you're saying it, but there are too many ears listening. But if you walked into your house today after this studio, and your woman does not call you Rev, and speaks to the king and the warrior in you, you will walk from here to Kisii in 3 minutes.
All things are possible.
Yes.
Okay.
You know, when you speak to, and yes, sometimes women would say, but that man is stubborn. But only you can kill and dilute that stubbornness.
Okay.
With some words. There is a grace that a woman has been given that you say, you're my king. I still believe in you. But yet, yes, the man knows he's not doing big things as his age mates. But when the woman says, I love your effort, you may have done 2%, and your age mates are doing 98%. But when you hear from your woman, that 2%, may God bless you. I love what you're doing. Okay. That man will work hard to get to the other 98%. Yeah.
All right. When we're still at that, there are some men who are watching this program right now, and they are bashed, like absolutely bashed by their women.
Yes.
They've been put in a corner.
Right.
And now they are turned into escapist ways. And so they can say, Pastor, I mean, wonderful things. Philosophically, you're right.
Right.
But how do I get out of this corner? Because my woman won't help me. You get? How do I get myself out of this place?
Rev, I'm going to say something very controversial.
Okay.
And this is Hope TV. Some women must thank barmaids for keeping their marriage. They say men don't talk. They talk, sometimes to the barmaids. Because they're bashed at home. A barmaid will look at a man on his 6th beer or 1 soda, but just sitting, and a barmaid would study that man and say, Peter, itakuwa sawa. It shall be okay. Can I add you another soda? On the 3rd soda, hii mimi nitakulipia, I will pay for you. It will be okay. Don't think too much. And the man says, oh, so there's somebody who's feeling my pain. I'm not going to go home, because the moment I enter home, I'm told, why are you not like other men? And I'm talking about men who are trying. To be honest, there are others who are just not trying. Misbehave, don't offer any leadership, put down their women. I'm talking about men who, a man who is trying. When you see the Olympics, and guys have done the marathon, and the last lap is usually within the stadium, the guy who comes last, and he's almost on his knees, why does he get the loudest clap?
Standing ovation.
Yes, because even in the midst of the pain, the man is still moving.
And the stadium waits for him.
Yes, the man is still moving. I'm talking about wounded soldiers who say, you know what, I haven't reached the finishing line, but I'm going to get there. And I want to tell women, as long as a man is trying, today he paid 50% of the school fees. Yes, he has delayed. Don't stop insulting him because he has not paid the 50%. Tell him, thank you for paying the 50%. I know God will help you. But it's so bad when men try, but our efforts are ignored, our failures are amplified. Then what happens to that man? Escapism.
All right, let's get some more views coming from our viewers from all around the world today, actually. One is saying here, and that is Martha Teve, saying, I'm loving this conversation. It's very true that majority of women feel the vacuum that arises due to absence of men in families because of other reasons, one reason or other. And then we have Davis, who is asking, who created that perception that at a certain age, a man should have achieved this or that? Is it the male species or female? I mean, some questions going that are very important for this conversation.
Absolutely.
But let's talk about, because there are schools of masculinity. You know, there are different schools of masculinity. It's not that masculinity is all corroded. I mean, it's being taught. And there's something described as toxic masculinity.
Yes.
Can you explain to us what that looks like and how one can know that this is a toxic kind?
Toxic masculinity has this message. For you to rise, you must hate the women. For you to rise, you must insult the women. For you to be a man, you must tell the women how useless she is. And some women have done that with feminism as well. That for you to be seen as a woman, toxic masculinity is hurting our young boys. That God never created a man to rise by putting a woman down. He says, help her, meaning work together. So this thing of you have to hate women and you have to pick one woman who has done something wrong and paint all the women in the same brush, that is wrong. And it's something that we need to curtail. If we don't, in another 10 years, we shall have more cases of domestic violence and we shall have more rehab centers than colleges. Because now we are seeing young boys, you just go on social media, you see how they degrade women, and you go to women, you see how they're degrading men. You can even get a 20-year-old trying to argue with people like us in our 40s because they have been taught you have to hate a man or you have to tell a man, you know, you're useless for us to rise. And social media is an indicator or gives you an idea of what society is thinking. Yeah.
All right. So there's a toxic kind.
There is toxic masculinity.
Let's, you know, we always have to go back to the Bible.
Yes.
And the Bible speaks to all time.
Absolutely.
Right? And some of the things, because the men are really watching this program tonight, what are some of the spiritual or biblical places where men today, you know, can find their anchor, you know, and be successful in their manhood?
Right.
Could be in the Old Testament, could be in the New Testament.
Right.
Some anchoring points for men.
Let me give you 3 men. Let me start with Abraham. The place of a man is in his place in God. That God can trust you so much as a man and tell you something so hard, but out of your obedience, you'll do it. Abraham was told, go and sacrifice your only son that you've waited for all these years. That, number one, is a man sold out to Christ. His energy is with his maker. Then let's go to Jacob, a man who says, I will not let you go until you bless me. There has to be a dislocation for the revelation to come. A man who wants to make it right, having understood where he was wrong. Let me take you to David, a man who has so much energy, but knew where to take the energy, to defend the name of God. And a man who many women sang, the king has killed 1,000. He has killed tens of thousands. So he did not use his energy to put people down. He used his energy to protect society. Goliath had tormented the children of God, which included women and children. If there is war, women suffer, children suffer. But here is a man who did not go about insulting women and small boys. He says, I will defend my family in the honor of God. So what happens with that? Those are the men we need. A man sold out to God, a man wanting desperately to make amends, and a man fighting to save the family. When he came and the Amalekites had taken their spoils, this man went and asked the Lord, what should I do? Pursue, overtake, and you shall recover. He didn't say, it's okay, they have gone, we look for other women. He says, no, I am a man. We got to defend the honor. Even the other men were so annoyed that they wanted to finish David, and he encouraged himself in the Lord. So we need men who understand, yes, we have male energy. Let's not go insulting women. Our male energy should be turned, given to God, and projected in the right direction. That women will say, we have men.
Okay.
That we want to get to a place, Rev, that you come to church on a Sunday, 50% men, 50% women.
Okay.
But now it's 80-20.
Now, it's a true observation.
Yes.
And I mean, you look at Jesus Christ also, and you realize that one of the things that really amazed Jesus Christ was faith.
Yes.
You know, and he was amazed at the faith of the people. And he would say, I've never seen such a faith.
Yes.
You know, and he would be really also, you know, go to a place and find that there's no faith, and
yes,
little would happen there.
Yes.
Now, maybe you can also speak about the place of faith.
Yes.
In building, you know, masculinity and manhood.
The Bible says in Hebrews, by faith, the elders obtained a good report. Faith is hoping. That yes, today it's tough, but I'm hoping tomorrow will be better. If you have that faith, you have reason to live. When faith is taken out, depression comes, suicide comes. So when you have men who will say, tomorrow will be better than today, we have faith in this God, we will obtain a good report. Now faith is. Faith is what you are hoping for, but now is the present. But you bring faith in the now that looks hopeless. So men have a reason. That's why now, I'm sorry to say this, if we operate in high levels of faith, bars will run out of business. Because some people go there feeling hopeless. It's okay, I'm going to go to sleep, I'm going to pray, I'm going to work. Tomorrow will be better. Even faith makes you, as a man, stand with your fellow man. The man who had a paralyzed friend, they created a hole in the ceiling. Says, we still hope, we lower. And Jesus was so touched by this action. And that's where now this topic that we cannot close this show without saying it. Men need each other. There is a place we don't want our women near. There is a place that is so tender. It is so tender that we need a hard hand to press, not a soft hand. That place where, as men, we say, it's tender, but I feel you, brother. We need that place in men. That place where you will say, Robert, I know this issue. We shall not leave you. I'm in a group called Muscles with your friend Conor More. And we say, we will not leave you. We will not judge you. We will not gossip you. Sadly, men have become more gossips. We will not gossip you. We know that struggle, but we'll create a roof, meaning we'll go out of our way to present you to Jesus, and we will stand with you. We will cover you. Like this guy who collapsed during the Euro 2018. I think Denmark player, Eriksson. And when he collapsed, all the cameras were zooming to get the photo, maybe if the man is going to die. But what happened? The men from both teams covered him and said, we will not allow the world to see your nakedness. We will not allow your fiancé to see you in this point of weakness. We will not allow your sons to see you here. So opponents came together to cover. So no lens could get there. But today, there was a Cameroonian player who died on the pitch called Mark Vivian 4. If you go on YouTube, you will see his head slumping and his eyes rolling. Think with me for a minute how his wife, his children feel. But this other guy, Eriksson, nobody saw that. And because they covered him in a way that the people who were supposed to resuscitate him did their jobs without pressure. And today, that man is in the first 11 of one of the biggest teams in the world. That's what it's all about. I will cover you. I will stand with you. But now we have pink men who are gossiping each other, who are killing the wounded. We shall go to the highways. We shall go to the byways. We shall go to the enemy territory. Yes, the man is limping. Some are crawling. Some are almost dead. The ones who are dead, we shall bury them with honor, like the American soldiers who die in war. Their bodies are brought back and the coffins are draped with the American flags, and they get the 21-gun salute with the salute.
Okay.
But even the church is worse. We gossip our fellow men.
Finally.
Okay, fine.
Finally.
Don't get me started, sir.
Finally. Men and their sons. Because men are being seen more and more absent from home.
Right.
But they expect their sons to rise and be strong. Briefly, can you speak to that?
Your son will be a double portion of who you are. You're a weak man, your son will be a double portion. What happens? They will sympathize with their mothers for trying so hard while their fathers are drinking. They'll be bitter and weak. That's a dangerous combination. You could be weak but not bitter. Your sons will be bitter and weak. Your sons don't do what you say. They do what you do. They become what they see you do. You understand? And it's not just about paying school fees. Go to the barber shop with your son. I'm tired of seeing women at Kenyatta Market with their sons where they're doing their braids. And you should see how those women do their braids. They lift their skirts, they roll their the braids on their thighs. Why should a 10-year-old start seeing thighs at the age of 10? By 12, he'll be looking for thighs in classrooms. So go with that. Teach your son how to go to the urinal, how to shake after use. Such small things impart something in the man, in the boy. Let them see you honoring their mother. Let them see you praying as you hold hands before dinner. Let them see you going to church with the mother and the family. And then we shall raise sons. But the problem is the way we are going. The way we are going. In 5-10 years, we're in trouble. We're in trouble. Now we have boys with sagging jeans even in church. Go to the youth churches. Youth church now all over is like a secular music concert. You know, big hair, combs here, walking like a failed American rapper. We're not having this hard conversation.
Well, I think it's a good place to stop this conversation. But very strong views there. And I'm sure that our viewers are able to discern what comes out as wisdom.
Absolutely.
But we want to thank you.
Thank you, sir,
for being very candid.
Thank you.
And also for sharing from your experience.
Thank you.
And also positioning your story as part of the reason why you champion this cause for men.
Yes, sir.
And lots of very positive feedback
Thank you.
About the things you've shared. And may God bless you as you continue to pastor.
Thank you, sir.
And viewers, we've been talking about men and their need to innovate. Lots of things have been said, but one of the things that really stood out was the place of faith. You know, the place of faith that carries us through the seasons of life. And that faith is very impressive even to the heavens.
Yes.
So there must be something there in the faith that makes the man consistently innovate. Actually, let's twitch the name a little bit. Let's not talk about innovation. Let's talk about faith innovation. Wow. This has been Spotlight. Thank you for watching.